Oh, Eunice, I don't know how to manage time. I have so much to do and I have so little time. Shut the fuck up. In the last 24 hours, I worked an entire day as a DM setter. I created 28 pieces of content, each one being unique, valuable, and I edited them and posted them on my social media. Took two one-on-ones with my students, each one being 1 hour long, and gave them the value they needed. Recorded four different looms for four different clients, each one being from 5 minutes to 10 minutes long. Finished day 2 slides for my 5 days DM workshop that's going to be coming soon. Remember, each day has 35 to 40 slides. That's going to take an entire day for some of you. And I still managed to go out and have some food with my friends. So the main focus for today is kind of telling you guys how I manage my time, because the people that know me, they know that I'm the GOAT of time management. So this is how I look at it. Number one is standards, right? So we're going to discuss that first. The second one is something that I call positively forced. Oh, I suck at writing. Positively forced time constraints, right? And then finally is achieving that extra mile, right? So now let's start with the standards first. Now, the way that I break this down to my students and the way that I break this down to my friends is know that you can do more. Know that the only limitation that you got or that you have is what your brain tells you. It's not the reality. Your brain is designed to be a scared, fearful, a little tiny creature that gets scared from everything and that just overthinks a lot of things, which means if you walk down a dark alley, even in the safest area, you're going to think about the worst case scenario because your brain does that. It runs on survival mode. It doesn't want you to exhaust or do more than you need to do, right? Because again, it moves on survival mode. It's a pussy, to put it in easy words. Which means oftentimes it tells you things which is not really the reality. It's the same with work. Sometimes our brain is scared from the amount of work that we set for ourselves at the start of the day, but that isn't the reality. Which means if I tell you like, hey man, can you create me a slide of can you create me like a day two workshop with like 40 slides and create like 28 pieces of content in a single day and record them and edit them, you're going to be like, that's a lot of work. But in reality, you have 12 hours. You can easily do that and a lot more. The only reason you think it's a lot of work is because that's what your brain tells you. That's not the reality, which means that you should set your own standards higher than you think you should. Which means if you have 4 things on your calendar for a day, you should most likely add 2 more, because again, your brain is telling you can only do 4, but in reality, you and I both know that we can do a lot more than that. So that aside, understanding that your brain is a pussy and it's going to always tell you that you cannot do it and you need to raise your standards a bit higher, because that's not the reality and you can do a lot more if you just focus. Now let's talk about the main thing that I do, which helps me a lot with making sure that I get done as much as I can, possibly within the hours that I have. This is what I call the positively forced time constraint. This is where you basically force yourself to do 5 hours worth of creative work in 1 to 2 hours, and you set yourself a timer to ensure that you don't get distracted and you actually make it happen. Now, what do I mean by creative work? For example, if you are a DM setter, you cannot have 5 hours worth of progressing conversation in an hour, because you need to depend on other people. But the things where you need to use your brain, for example, you need to complete trainings, or you need to come up with content, or you need to create some sort of music, all of that creative things, you can get it done in 1 to 2 hours if you just set yourself a timer and you just try to do it. Which means you need to create positively forced time constraints for yourself so you can get as much as you can. Because our brain is not only a pussy, it's also lazy. Which means when it knows that we have a lot of time, when it knows that we have 12 hours in a day and we only have a couple of things to do, it signals that it's okay to be distracted. And how do I know this? Because think about this. If you had 2 men running down the road with guns, I love to be extreme with examples, by the way. If you have 2 men that they're coming down with guns, are you going to check your phone, or are you going to try to hide or run as fast as you could to save yourself? You're not going to use your phone. You're not going to be distracted. You're going to run and save yourself, because you know that you're in survival mode. And if you don't do that, you're most likely going to die. Because the moment your brain senses comfort or safety, it allows a lot of room for error and laziness, which means you need to almost force time constraints on yourself. And the reason I call it positive is because it is a positive, it's growth related, it's going to help you grow, which means you should create these time blocks within your calendar where you force yourself to do 5 hours of work within 1 to 2 hours. And I promise you, if you do this, and you focus for those 1 to 2 hours, you can actually get done with like 5 hours of work and really easily. Now, the third thing is striving for that extra bit. Now, the reality is, at the time of making this video, I am tired. I'm exhausted. Mentally, I'm very much done for the day because I've already been working for approximately 11 hours so far, but I want that extra step, because I want to push for it, because the only way that I can create a next level in my brain is by pushing and achieving that extra strive today, that extra bit today. So tomorrow, for me, this new level that I'm setting today becomes a normal and I push a little harder. So next time, as I said, next time my brain going to give up at that extra step that I took today, that day I'll create an extra step again, which means for you, the extra step might not be the 11 hours mark. That's what it's for me, because I work really hard for like a really long time, which means for you it might be 5 hours, and that's okay. If you think by hour 5 you're done with the day, just push yourself for another 30 minutes. And if you do this consistently for the next 2 months, by the time you're done with it, you can easily work 11-12 hours a day without being exhausted at all. Right? So let's wrap it up. What did we discuss? Number 1 is have high standards and set your standards higher than what you think you should, because at the end of the day, your brain imagines a lot of things. Oftentimes you think it's a lot of work, but in reality it's really not, because that's what your brain is telling you, and you're giving up to that fake idea. Which means when you're setting your standards for how your day should look like, you need to set it higher so that it can match up with the reality. Number 2 is positively forced time constraints, right? Which means you need to force yourself almost to do a lot of work in a really little amount of time. And the more you do that, the more comfortable you're going to get. You're going to gain focus. You're going to learn the skill to not get distracted. You're going to learn how to be more creative a lot quicker. You're going to learn how to regain focus back whenever it's broken. A lot of benefits of it. So let's make sure we do that. And then the third one is achieving that extra mile. Because again, at the end of the day, the only way for you to set new levels is to break the one that you're on right now. For example, for you to succeed in a game and go from chapter 1 to chapter 2, you got to get done with chapter 1 and then go to chapter 2, which means if your break is like if you reach like 5 hours and you're done with the day mentally, push that 30 minutes extra. Then change it to 6 hours, change it to 7 hours, change it to 8 hours. If you do this consistently for the next few months, you're going to be working 11 hours a day, getting a lot more done than 99% of the people. And you know what that's going to do for you? That's going to, for example, let's say you work 5 hours a day. Within the next 2 months, you do all of this, you start working 11 hours a day. Guess what? That 2x your growth. Because now you're putting in 2x the work, you're working 2x the hours with the same focus. So this can help you go from making like 5K a month to 10K a month if you just apply this. Hope this helps.